Namaste, everybody. This is Sylvia Mordini, the founder of Alchemy of Yoga, and this is 11 days of the study of the Yoga Sutras for 11 minutes each day. So I hope that you start now and enjoy the next 11 days. And for me, the Yoga Sutras are a handbook on happiness. So if you've always wanted to figure out what are the obstacles to my happiness? Why aren't I happier than I am right now? Why do I make things so hard? Well, the Yoga Sutras not only tell you what the obstacles are, they tell you how to eliminate those obstacles from your life. So these are the secrets to happiness, and they are revealed, and they have been revealed, for the sutras are thousands of years old, compiled by Patanjali or Patanjali, depending on your pronunciation. And they are here for us as a technology to utilize. Think of this as ancient wisdom for modern times. And don't you feel like today we need and could benefit from some of this ancient wisdom now more than ever before? Life has changed very dramatically in the last 8 weeks, and we can look back to understand how we can look forward. So the Yoga Sutras are near and dear to my heart. There are three main influences in which yoga is written: the Bhagavad Gita, sometimes people call it the Bible of Yoga, the Yoga Sutras, and then the Upanishads. So my intention is to share and teach, make it come alive, the Yoga Sutras. There are anywhere from 156 to 198 aphorisms. These are the sutras. They're very short, memorizable statements. And the tradition was that these would be passed on as oral history. So I, as the teacher, would recite the sutra, and then you would repeat it, and then we'd go back and forth in this way. And you would practice it and memorize it, and then you would apply it. For the sutras are meant to be experiential. They're not just something you intellectualize and you simply read about. You have to go and apply it and live it. And so that's my intention, is to give you ways of how to live it in modern everyday life. As always, I'm a practical mystic trying to make things real. So think of this as the Yoga Sutras unplugged, and our Yoga Sutra jam for this next 11 days. So we will not get through all 156, 90, 196 or thereabouts or what have you. No, that's not even our intention. Instead, we're going to start at the beginning, and the way they're laid out, if you have your Yoga Sutra book, or if you look at my grid, you can get a copy of just 2 pages of the sutras. And later on, you can get a copy of my book inside the Yoga Sutras. But they are laid out chapter and verse. So the first number is the chapter, the second number is the verse. So chapter 1, verse 1 is where it starts. And that's our work for today, chapter 1, verse 1. And tomorrow, chapter 1, verse 2. And the next day, chapter 1, verse 3. So you see where I'm going? And each day on our grid, you'll see the actual verse in Sanskrit so that you can feel the vibration. And then each day I'll be going over the reality of what does that really mean, and come with your thoughts, come with what you believe it means, and then also ask me any questions at any point. Or if you need me to further explain something, then just give me a thumbs up or a heart or something that says like, okay, I want to go deeper in what you're talking about right now. So, oh, nice to see everybody here. So, so grateful. Therefore, what we're going to do is only focus our attention each day on one sutra. And we will do that for 11 days. And that's my introduction to the Yoga Sutras. There's so much more to be said, but the bottom line is, for me personally, as an enthusiastic student of the sutras these last 15 years, and as a passionate teacher of the sutras, is that I bring them alive for you, and that you feel how you could apply them into your day-to-day life. So we'll start hands together at our hearts. Anytime we are doing something sacred, like the study of the sutras, we want to just make sure that we're going into the container in a sacred way. So close your eyes and drop in. Drop into this moment. Deepen into the seat of your breath, into the seat of your pose, your asana. And just notice what's happening right now. Just saying to yourself, what's happening now? What's happening now? What's happening now? And as you notice what's happening now and how it changes moment to moment, the now is the part I'd love for you to focus on. Atta Yoga Anushasana in Sanskrit is the very first chapter, first verse. And the word atta means now. What's happening now? Not 5 minutes from now or an hour from now. And why are you ready to learn about the real practice of yoga? Why are you ready now? For in the 8-limb path of yoga, how most of us begin the practice is simply through the physical. But that is only 1/8 of the entire practice. So why are you ready to really learn about yoga? Why now versus last year or 5 years ago? Why not wait another year? Why are you ready now? And then just consider for a moment everything that came before this moment. Everything that came before is preparation. Golden preparation. So everything you've done, every down dog, every warrior, every child's pose is preparation for this moment. Take a big breath in. Open mouth, exhale with sound. And then open your eyes. Everything that came before now was preparation. So one of the translations of this first sutra is that you are ready to study the sutras after prior preparation. So if you've been thinking that you've been doing yoga, until you begin really studying the practice and applying it to life in all ways, we've just been preparing to study the practice. We've just been preparing to take in this ancient philosophy and wisdom. So all those down dogs, they were powerful and beneficial, but they're really just to help us to get ready. If you've ever surfed, 99% of surfing is the preparation. 1% is actually riding on top of the board. And it's kind of like that in life in general, isn't it? We put all this time preparing, and then finally we are in the experience of it. And that's what it's like with chapter 1, verse 1 of the Yoga Sutras. So why now, you guys? What makes you think that you're ready now? Like, why wasn't it before now? And if you've ever tried to help somebody that's in a state of suffering, and you see them habituated into negative patterns of behavior, maybe it's drinking too much, as an example, and you want them to change, and you want them to change, and you try to help them change, and you tell them they have to change, and you do all of this effort, and then they don't change. They don't even try. They don't want to get started. That's it. Like, until you're ready, we cannot force someone to be more ready than they are right now. So this initiation, I'll use the word adhikara, like of initiating ourselves through the threshold of being ready and beginning at the beginning, only comes when we ourselves feel like we're ready. Or a Chinese axiom is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's it from this chapter 1, verse 1. When you finally think that you're ready because you want to be happier, you want to stop suffering, you want to have a lighter, easier life, then when you're ready, then you're ready. Now. And what happens in all this preparation and practicing suffering, for instance, like, okay, like if I drink too much, I wake up and I feel crappy the next day. Yep, and I do it again, still feel crappy. Like, a lot of that, like, practice of what we don't want occurs, or I sleep too much, or I binge watch Netflix too much, or I'm negative in my self-thought, I'm lacking self-love. You get really good at what you practice, and you know it can be different. And then there's that one pivotal moment where you're like, that's it. I need to change it now. I have to stop talking to myself in such a negative way. I have to stop being in this experience where I'm abusing my body. I'm not taking care of myself. And so all that preparation where we're like, I'm not ready, then in a second, like a switch, we can be like, I'm ready right now. And that's what happens. Now I am ready to begin the study of yoga. Have you ever, when you were a kid, done this? Ta-da! Ta-da! Like Tadasana, mountain pose. That is chapter 1, verse 1. Ta-da! Look at me right now. We don't do the ta-da like, oh, look at me next week. It's kids. And now we're like, look at me in this moment. Ta-da! I'm ready right now. And we're like in it. We're like, everybody, like, stop what you're doing. Ta-da! Tadasana. That's it. Like, when you're ready, and then we proceed. That's one of the translations. And what I'll present to you each day is a translation from someone that identifies themselves as a he or him and has a teacher that is a male, he or him. Someone that is identifying themselves as he or him that has a female teacher identifying as she or her. A third translation will come from someone that is a she or her that has a female teacher identifying as she or her. Then a translation from someone from the transgender community, LGBTQ community, and then a translation from myself and my own understandings and interpretations. And we will have no fewer than 5 translations so that you can decide for yourself what that is. The next translation is now the study and practice of yoga begins. I think that's super self-explanatory. Now it begins. But what I want you to think about for yourself is what was the preliminary step and getting to the now, into the atha, into this like, yes, I'm ready to begin the study and practice of yoga. What preliminary steps did you have to take? Was it a lot of physical classes? Was it a trauma? Has this been a wake-up call? And then I also want you to ask yourself, how present and aware are you of your current condition? That meditation, what's happening now? It's such a powerful way to drop in and fine-tune our ability to be really present to the conditions in this moment. So often we're either trying to run away from what things are feeling right now or what's being presented right now. We're going backwards and like, oh, it was so much easier, better than, or we're playing into the future. Oh, it's going to be this, 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 and this. But what does it take for you to practice being in the present moment? Because a lot of us aren't that good at being in the present moment, in what Eckhart Tolle talks about as the isness of now. So that too plays into this. Now the study and practice of yoga begins. The next translation, the following concerns the science of union. The following concerns the science of union. This too is another translation. Now, each of these translations are for you to discern what lands, what resonates for you, and what doesn't, let it go. Because my hope is that through this, you can learn how to create your own translation, taking bits from different other translations or just forming your own opinion from your own intuition. But the science of union for yoga means to yoke together, to bring together. So maybe you've come to it from a very spiritual place. Maybe you came to yoga from a physical place. And now you want to understand how the mind and body are interconnected. Perhaps what's happening in the pandemic in the world has been a motivation for you because your nervous system is like racked and ravaged and you're like, oh my God, I need to figure out how to feel better and lessen my anxiety, but my body's so tired and I'm wired and tired. So you are trying to figure out the science of the union of the mind and the body so that they integrate together. That's exactly what's happening now. And you're ready because there is a trauma occurring in the world. Another translation, the following instructions concern the science of union. Okay. And then the next translation, now is set forth authoritative teaching on yoga. Now is set forth authoritative teaching on yoga. Now we can take each word and we can further define it. My favorite tool is the thesaurus. So authoritative, that word I don't really enjoy for myself. Again, for you, you have a different conditioning, the way you've lived, things that have occurred in your life. That may be a really positive, easeful word for you. But for me, authoritative, that feels like it's militaristic. It feels like it's I'm being told I have to do something. It doesn't feel like it's a choice. It feels a little too masculine energy and too closed versus instead of authoritative, now is set forth the teaching of yoga, now is set forth the mindful teachings, or now is mindfully set forth the teachings of yoga. Now I'm offering the teachings of yoga. Like that feels better for me than the word authoritative. But again, for you, you have to decide and look up what that means, or if that word feels great, stay with it. But these are all different 4 translations about what first chapter, first verse of the Yoga Sutras means, according to different translators. But what I also want to share with you is that a lot of times people just brush over chapter 1, verse 1 of the Yoga Sutras to be in a hurry to get to the other sutras. And I think that that's a mistake. I think it's a mistake because we don't lay the foundation. And there's something to be said for being graceful in initiating things, this initiation into the Yoga Sutras, to have it be sacred, to give it attention. This is not just once upon a time. It doesn't mean just like that. That is the beginning to a great story, to all great stories, once upon a time. But it means so much more. What brought me to yoga, my preparation, was a lot of trauma. And at different points when I've gone into my yoga practice, there was some condition that occurred that made me need the yoga and made me thirsty and hungry and longing for the yoga and for the answers to help me feel better. And so that has often been my preparation. When I lost my eyesight and went blind, I wanted to understand, why is this happening? Why am I in this state of suffering? How long will this last? Is this forever? And so in that moment, I'm like, now give me spiritual answers. Before that moment, I'm like, everything's fine. I'm just going along, and I go to my yoga classes and I break out a down dog and a warrior. It's some sun salutations. And I'm like, I'm good. I'm like, literally, I'm good. But then I went through this traumatic experience of losing my eyesight, and I'm like, oh, I need more than just the physical poses, because quite frankly, I can't do them right now. I need my yoga. I need to understand yoga with the big Y, not just like yogas and like cobra pose, but yoga. And I needed it right there because I was in such a deep state of fear and suffering and anxiety from losing my sight. When I was in a hit and run, the same thing. Again, here I am. I need to like relearn to do things like put my underwear on by myself and brush my hair and do all the normal things. So then I needed the yoga, and I needed to go deeper into the practice and understand it. That was the preparation. But I don't believe that we need trauma to wake ourselves up and to be ready for transformation and to be ready for the yoga to really, really begin. And that's the work that I do, is that this is a good time to go deeper whenever you think I'm ready to go deeper. And perhaps the pandemic has served as that catalyst, but maybe you were ready and you were getting ready even before this pandemic to really think that like I am ready to begin the study and the deep practice of yoga. And everything that has been set forth before this, everything happened for a reason. It was all for our soul's growth. In order to get to this moment, we needed all of that preliminary preparation to get to this point. So don't worry if the fact is that you're beginning the study and understanding of yoga in a bigger way. It's starting now versus last year or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. The fact that it's starting now is in perfectly right timing. This is the exact time that it should be starting for you, because now you are ready to begin the study and the practice of yoga, where yoga then becomes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're never not in a state of yoga, for you are seeking this union, inside yourself between the long lost sweethearts of your mind and your heart, and trying to bring them together, seeking union between your masculine energy and your feminine energy that's inside everyone, seeking union with the doing, and the state of being, seeking union between the contrary complements that exist in this paradoxical world that we live in. And now you really want to comprehend and appreciate that union and that place of balance, which is why we bring hands to heart, the right side of us, the masculine side, the left side of us, the feminine side, into the center, the Sushumna line, down the center, into this place at the heart chakra, the uniter of the upper 3 chakras, 7, 6, 5, and the lower ones, 3, 2, 1. So we are, as you bring your hands to your heart, creating the union between right and left, and up and down, sky and earth, into the center. And so now maybe what your motivation is to study yoga is because you're seeking balance. You want to find your center. And to me, there's no better motivation to really study yoga than the desire to find your center. And at the center, you find yourself, your true self. And you are beautiful. You are exquisite. You are at peace. And you are loved. From my heart to your heart to the heart of the universe. 11 at 11. Thank you for joining my Yoga Sutra Jam. And I'll chat with you tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Namaste.